Rabbi Plaut writes that the period of wanderings through the wilderness, the open plain which spreads forth after Sinai, is a trail of faith. And at the end of this new book of Torah, which we're beginning this week, the book of Bamidbar, there emerges the vision of a new nation that will take possession of the Holy Land and do so as a holy people. There are many midrashim, rabbinic explanations, about what it means that the Torah was given in the desert, Bamidbar, and not in the land of Israel, and not in Jerusalem, and not at the Temple Mount. Some say the Torah was given in the wilderness because it shows that even in our deepest wanderings, the voice of God is present. Others point out that the wilderness is accessible, and therefore all can engage with words of Torah, not just one tribe amongst the Jewish people, not just the Jewish people, but the Torah is open for everyone. One of my favorite teachings on this wilderness, this midbar, is Hasidic. The giving of the Torah in the harsh and terrible conditions of the wilderness means that Torah has the potential to meet people wherever they are, no matter how low they are and how low they are feeling, and help carry them to new heights. But what are those heights? What heights can Torah take us up to? For some, this is literal. From the desert up to the top of one mountain. We'll get to that mountain in a moment. For many of us, these heights are metaphorical, heights of ethical conduct, of right action, and the ability to stand straight and tall and proud because we know that we are doing our best to do the right thing. To the Hasidic author, they were most likely not literal heights, but rather heights of joy and uplift achieved through dedication to the mitzvot. Wherever I go, taught Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, I go to Jerusalem. Wherever I go to Jerusalem. Not literally Jerusalem, but I bring myself towards this ideal and idea of a perfect Jerusalem. In addition to starting a new book of Torah this week, Bamidbar, in the wilderness, the desert, this week many in the Jewish community also marked Yom Yerushalayim, not a metaphorical day of ascent, but a day of guns and armor, of warfare and conquest, of high ground. The day when the old city of Jerusalem, with the Temple Mount and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, was taken in battle from the Kingdom of Jordan. Our community marks this day, but in our Siddur, we don't have a section like Yom HaAsmaut or Yom HaZikaron. We have prayers for Jerusalem, because today is also a complicated day. It's a complicated day because it's also the day the occupation of the land on the west bank of the Jordan River began, and all of the ethical and moral implications of ruling over a conquered inhabited land started. It is the day some Orthodox Jews started wearing kippot in public around the world as a sign of pride in their Jewish identity. It is the day that the modern national religious settler movement started, and also the seeds of the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, were planted. It is all and good to celebrate an idea of Jerusalem, Yerushalayim Shel Mala, and we should plan our next trips to visit the physical Jerusalem of bricks and mortar, Yerushalayim Shel Mata. And we should be careful never to confuse the two. In his moving poem, Jerusalem, 1967. Yehuda Amichai tells of a trip into the Old City on the first Yom Kippur, that this was possible just 5 months after the conquest, where the protagonist goes because he can't stop himself, and already in this moment he feels the complications of being there in the Old City. On Yom Kippur, 5728, I donned dark holiday clothing and walked to Jerusalem's Old City. I stood for quite a while in front of the kiosk shop of an Arab, not far from Shechem Gate, a shop full of buttons, zippers, and spools of thread of every color, and snaps and buckles, brightly lit and many colored, like the open holy ark. I said to him in my heart that my father too owned a shop just like this, of buttons and thread. I explained to him in my heart about all the decades and the reasons and the events leading me to be here now, while my father's shop burned there, and he is buried here. When I concluded, it was the hour of Ne'ilah, the locking of the gates. He too drew down the shutters and locked the gate as I returned homeward with all the other worshippers. I wish we had time to study this poem, the Ivrit, in its original Hebrew, and all of the nuances and intricacies of that poem. And I hope that you will take the opportunity to think through it and its implications for today and every day, that we as a Jewish people remain in this place of political power. The giving of the Torah in the harsh and terrible conditions of the wilderness means that Torah has the potential to meet people where they are, no matter how low they are, and help carry them to new heights. May we be reminded this Shabbat, this Shavuot, and in these weeks ahead as an annexation of some of this conquered land is planned, and truthfully, every day, that those heights are not heights of self, power, unadulterated joy, but rather heights of commandment, heights of responsibility, and heights of living in covenant as a holy people in a holy land. Shabbat Shalom.